Hi everyone, this is Deborah and today I'm continuing on with my doily quilt, just prepping a piece of fabric, and I'm on my ironing mat today because the sun on the cutting mat is way too bright, so I won't be showing you any cutting, but there's not much cutting to do today because I've done some of it already and it's very boring cutting anyway. So I had an idea that I wanted to make one of my favorite quilt blocks, which is the log cabin quilt. So I'm kind of going to do my version of that, a weird version of that. I might actually just cut this off. Now, traditionally, a log cabin, as you would probably all know, has either a red center or a yellow center. The red signifying the heart of the home and the yellow being the light of the home. So that's why I'm going with this red cute little strawberries that I found on one of the doilies. And I've got all these pieces. Now the other day I bought a load of lace off Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, and I had assumed that it was just a bit of lace, and it turned out to be 2 boxes of lace and fabric. So this is a scrap that came from that box. And then I've got these pieces here which have large sections in them of just plain fabric, and rather than not using them, that's what I've decided to use today. So I have cut some strips that are 1.5 to 2 inches. I really sort of just, some of them I just chopped, others I measured, but I probably am not going to measure. And I thought if I put the raw edge down, so I'm just going to start doing that and see how this turns out, and if I don't like it, I guess I'll work something else out of how to do it. So the raw edges will show in this one, and I'm also going to cut that little bit of blue off because I thought I wanted it like all white or in tones of white and maybe a little bit of cream. Haven't quite decided yet. And then trying to pick different fabrics, like this here's got a bit of the brown on it, but that's okay. I don't know if I really have to chop that little bit off there, but I will. And then I'll put that down there and then keep working my way around. So what I'm doing is, I probably should have made that center square a little bigger, but too late now. I'm just going to overlap them. So I've cut all these bits of fabric and I will overlap them as I go. You'll probably see on the second round more as to my idea. Let's get this bit with the red on it. Get rid of that. And then I'll put this over, but when I overlap it, I'm going to overlap it so there's, about 1/2 inch showing here. And then when I go and sew it, it should, hopefully, this will all be up. Anyway, I'll keep going because I really don't know what to tell you what I'm doing because I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm just playing and I'm hoping that it will turn out all right. And if this works, I thought it would be a really nice idea to do with lace. And since I now have a heap of lace, really, I'm going to have to try and sell some of it or get rid of some of it, because there's just so much. I had no idea that that's what I was signing up for when I said yes on Marketplace to this bag of lace. But never mind, at least it's been rescued from the dump, I guess. See, that's a bit of cream, so I probably, because that's there, I haven't found much cream. Most of the ones I have in this white seem to be white in these ones that have a large section in the middle where you don't have any pattern or anything. And of course, the more you go around, and like that one there's got a little stain on it, but if I put that underneath, although I use this end, but I could put that underneath and therefore you wouldn't see that stain. I think you're getting that effect. It's kind of like when you do those 3D, I've done that with paper, where you put something in the middle and you create like this tunnel effect going in. It's sort of like that, isn't it? I thought I had that in my head that it might turn out like this, but Never really know until you try. That's not long enough. Let's get another piece. I have to cut some more, I think, although I could put that one, although I might save this one for here, because then it will be sort of one there, one there, one there. And I'll just go and cut some more bits. This one here's a heavier piece, but I don't think that it matters whether it's a heavier fabric. This is more like a damask. And that's a really light piece there. Lightweight, not light in colour, just lightweight. What do you think? You think that's turning out okay? I think it might be. I'll keep all these little bits that I'm chopping off because I can use them in another way. I've just had an idea actually of how I can use all these tiny pieces, so I'll make a pile of them and I might do that next. I actually want to straighten that up a bit, although that side's okay. No, I want it straighter. Normally I wouldn't worry, but for some reason that was bothering me. I almost can, yeah, I'm just thinking how now I'm going to run the machine around it, and I'm thinking that now I'm going to have to stop, and everywhere that there's an end, I'm going to have to take it apart and run the machine around it, aren't I? Never thought about that, because if I only run the machine around here, then the bits in the middle are all going to fall out. All right, let's take it apart. We can just build it again. And hopefully it will go back together okay. I'm just looking at kind of where I'm up to. So that one ends there, so I'm going to have to take this lot off too. There you go. Learned a lesson. I have to go and sew it every 2 rows, I think. Okay, let's go do that. Now I've done that, I'm going to have to put them all back on again. And I can't remember what went where. Well, that's a smaller one, so that must have gone somewhere here. Okay, I have to sort them into size first before I can do that. There's a bigger one. That's a small, bigger. Maybe this one can go here because it's a smaller one. And I think I did have something here like that, didn't I? Although that's bigger. That'll teach me to think about that before I keep moving on. Now I'm covering up, I'm making sure, I should say, that I'm covering up my stitches. So that's why I'm stitching at the back of the piece, so that when I put this piece down, there aren't going to be any stitches showing. And I'm not measuring the distance here, I'm just going by eye. You can see that one's a bit bigger. I mean, that one's a bit smaller. It's just all about just going around and seeing what works really, what I'm happy with. So I think I'm going to have to stop at that point now and sew these ones down. Now I've sewn that stitch way too close, so I'm going to have to really butt this up, I think. Maybe I'll put this one down and just have a tiny little gap. Forgot about that. I should have sewn it back further like this one. I don't want those opposite And I also need to cut some pieces that are bigger because otherwise I'm not going to get it to the end there. So while I'm at the machine, I'm just giving them a tug of the ones underneath to make sure that I've stitched it all down and it's not going to come apart. And at the moment, I seem to be doing that okay. So let's continue on. I need to go and cut some more pieces. I'll cut some more out of this one if I haven't used it already. It seems a pity to waste it. It's a gorgeous linen feel fabric, this one. Now I don't have to worry when I get to the edges because I'll be putting binding on, and so that will be caught up in the edge, and so the raw edges on this won't show when I finally get to the end. That's too small. So I know it's looking nothing like a log cabin, but it's my interpretation of a log cabin. So to finish this one off, I'm going to use the outside border here, which I think should be thick enough. I just have to cut it. I've got a couple of those, so let me cut it first. I'm just going to cut to the corner. So I can still use these pieces here. That will fit if I tidy that bit there up, and it will fit on this side. Just tidy this bit up. Do need something there though, don't I? Just another piece of fabric, really. Not long enough. Now you can see I've cut it there just a little bit. Oh, sorry, let me get you in shot. I've cut that there just a little bit, but I can put a button or something over the top of that, so I'm not too worried about that. And then here, I want that corner there. Okay, I'm going to have to cut this down somewhat. And then I'll put that over the top. I might just twist that up like that, because I like this bit here. I don't want to not have that bit in just because of that. And yes, I am covering up some of the work underneath, but that's just how it is. I'll cut it back a bit though. And then here, I have another piece that would go there in the same way. Okay, now I know that I'm going to do that. I'll cut this piece down. I love this piece here. I don't know what that's called when they do that. I know that there's something called white work, which I think is when you stitch white on white. I think this is called, no, I can't remember, when you do cutaway like that. It's not called white work, I don't think, but if you know, can you let me know in the comments, please? I'd love to hear from you. And maybe this is called cut work. Yeah, I think it's something like that, but I don't know what that is down there. Is that cut work as well? Don't know. And oh, I already did that. Now each of the sides has this little hemmed bit here, tucked bit in. So all I have to do now is just sew that down and we'll be done. I'm not sure that it's turned out how I had in my head again, but it will have to do like the other one. And I think it'll come together when I do a bit more embellishment on it perhaps, and also when it's with all the other ones, I think that it might look okay. So we'll just go from there. I don't know if I told you, but I've prepped all my squares now. And at the moment, I'm thinking 6 across and 6 down, so 36 squares, which will give me a quilt that's around about 66 inches square, and I can't convert that, so it's over 5 feet, I don't know, 150 centimeters, about as tall as I am, maybe 165 centimeters, something like that. I'm sure you can work it out if you wanted. So with this one, I thought that I could use this yellow here because it's the light of the home for this one. And I don't know whether I want that. See, I cut this accidentally when I was doing something. It was caught underneath. And then I will cut that yellow band off there and put that in the center. And also the other one seems to have skewed, but I'm really not going to bother if it does that. It's not the end of the world for me. It might be if you're that way inclined, but certainly for me it's fine. And then I'll just start working my way around again like I did before. Only this time I shall remember to sew as I go and not get to the point where I then have to stop and go back and sew everything. Now, because this lace is all different size in width, I'm going to just, you know, work out where I want it roughly and then move from there. I think I need something a bit wider. Leave that bit. I want something a bit darker so it covers that yellow a bit more. I think I need some cream lace. I've got some here, but I probably need more cream lace than what I've got on this roll here. Sometimes I think these pins are blunt, but they're new, so I don't know how they're being blunted so quickly. Drove me a bit mad. I bought new ones because I thought the old ones were blunt, but the old ones seem to be working better than the new ones. I'm not sure it's as effective as the fabric, but we'll keep going and see what it turns out like. This is some of the new lace that I bought, and I have to tell you, I I made a bit of a error in judgment. Let's call it an error in judgment. So what I did was, where am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4 here. What I did was I decided, oh, that's got to go all the way there. And that hasn't. All right, we're going to have to cover this one. Oh, actually, I'll cover this one. So I haven't put it enough down on the piece. My fault. So what I did was I thought, oh, I'll wash it. So I washed it, and that was fine. And then I thought, and what I'll do is I'll, because it was still a bit wet and it was still in bunches like this, so I washed it. And then I thought, well, I better stick it in the dryer to fluff it all up, and because I rarely hang anything on the line, I use my dryer all the time. And yes, I live in Brisbane, but you know, I'm an apartment dweller at heart, and I got used to using a dryer when I lived in apartments for years. And so then I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just go in and throw it in the dryer. And it wasn't quite dry, it was damp. Did I say that already? Sorry, I'm getting distracted looking at the lace. And so I thought I'll undo it. So I pulled it all out of its little things. I had it in wash bags, pulled them all out and threw them in the dryer. And that was a big mistake, because what came out was this huge, big bird's nest of lace. And my husband and I spent 2 nights untangling it all. And of course, then I had to press it and roll it all back up, which I did. But that was a lesson learned. Do not do that ever again, because it was just hours to get it all untangled. It was just amazing how tangled it had gotten itself in the dryer. And because a lot of it, some of the pieces were on cards, like, you know, the shop cards that you see when you go to the shop and the lace is on there. There was so much of it, and because of that it just went crazy. So I definitely learnt my lesson. Never do that again. But at the end of the day it's turned out fine, and I got a lot of lace in this box. Too much actually, that I'll never use at all, I don't think. But at least this is using some of it up, isn't it? Did I sew that piece? No. Possibly I can put one more on here before I take it to the machine. Quite like this piece. I don't think this is as effective as the other one that I did with the fabric. I really don't. Never mind, it's a block and I'll persevere. So I have a lot of them to make. Lace is getting caught on each other. It's a bit like that lace, isn't it? I can put that piece there, but I need a piece for here first. Maybe I can go back to this one. Almost at the end. Oh, let's jumped and grab that. Get on there. I'm almost to the end now. That's covered enough. In fact, I think that is the end. Maybe I will put some more around here. I'll go and sew this lot on first though, and then I'll put some more around on the edges. And then I think to finish it, I'm going to put this around the edges, because I need something that's fairly solid. I can't have that on, well, I could have that on the edge, but no, I think I want something fairly solid around the edge. So this will be what I'm putting around the edge. And maybe I'll just put that all the way around. That's like a bit of a frame. Yeah, I think that looks quite good actually. Now the question is, do I have enough to finish it completely? Hopefully I will. Right, that's done. And the sunlight's coming this way now, so I'm going to have to move before we go any further. I will cut this down before I stop though, just so you can see the final product on this one anyway. And there's that one. I'm not sure, that's not been sewn in, I'll have to go and catch that. I'm not sure that that was a big success, but you know, you've got to try these things before you find that out, haven't you? So there it is there. So here's the two that I did today, side by side. Same technique, very different. They won't be side by side when I put them in the quilt. I will put them elsewhere in the quilt. And as I said before, I'm not sure that it turned out how I thought it would in my head, but I'm still going to use them because it's a different technique. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you next time. This is Deborah. Cheers.